Hello, I'm Tom Terry. I'm the president of the board of Ocean Pines Association, and I was elected to the board in 2010.
Hello, I'm John McLaughlin. I'm vice president of the board, and I've been a member since 2008.
I'm Pete Gomsack, and I was elected to the board in 2009. I'm the treasurer of the organization, and so I'm in my second year on the board.
Hi, I'm Rick Handelman. I was appointed to the board by these gentlemen in 2010.
Hi, I'm Les Purcell. I'm the secretary of the board, and I'm serving my 4th term as we speak.
Hi, I'm Dave Stevens. I was re-elected for my 2nd term in 2010.
And I'm Ray Unger. This is my 2nd term on the board in Ocean Pines.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, Charlotte's a great city. I like Charleston better though.
Okay, I'm just going to run through the agenda quickly, make sure we're okay with that. There is one change. The Surgeon General report with John McLaughlin is actually part of Jenny Reister's presentation to the Aquatics Committee. Sure.
The seats up here, too.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay. The new business Surgeon General report with John McLaughlin is actually part of the Aquatics Committee presentation by Jenny Reister. That's a change in the agenda. Other than that, we will be starting off with public comment. Presentation from Jenny from the Aquatics Committee. We're going to approve the agenda here in a minute first. Minutes approval, County Commissioner report, General Manager's report, then old business, which is budget, delinquent assistance, assessments, casino revenue, which is mine, appointments to committee, closing public comments, questions from the press, and adjournment. Gentlemen, any changes to the agenda? Okay, the agenda is approved. And we will move on to public comment. And folks were to pick up numbers, so whoever has number 1 is first. Please step up to the microphone there and give us your name and address. And we will be trying to keep these presentations to 5 minutes each, please. 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Harry Gow. I live at 1223 Carrollton Lane, Sandy Village. I've not been involved in this process the whole time, but I've gotten involved in the last...
Can't hear you. The mic's not on. It's got to be very close.
The mic's on, you just have to be very close to it, unfortunately.
Better? Is it on? Okay. I have a few number of comments, mostly in general in nature, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of depth and detail on in here. I did take the time the last 2 days to go to the business office and look at the proposed budget. There was one copy generously provided, nothing online, no copies for distribution. I spent about 2 hours there today perusing it line item by line item, only to find at the very last that the copy provided for public perusal was inaccurate, and substantially so, by $675,000 in capital expense. So when you've been down there and looked at this, know now that what you looked at was not accurate. The board added back in $675,000 in the last, I assume, days, without correcting the copy. That is egregious. That's my comment there. The other, I have a general comment. I don't know where this whole notion of open for business came from. I bought a home and moved to Ocean Pines to enjoy, if possible, a genteel retirement. I didn't come here to be part of some commercial enterprise. I have no interest in being an entrepreneur in a restaurant. I've been an entrepreneur in other areas. It's not that much fun. However, There seems to be among the board and the general manager some ambition to become great entrepreneurs in the restaurant, at least the restaurant business, perhaps even in the pool cleaning business, which makes no sense to me. Do we need electronic signs? Do we need all this commercial enterprise around us? This is a place to come live. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to open a restaurant, do what I did. Go out and seek private equity capital, create a meaningful business plan, and run your business and take your risks. I didn't play with other people's money, nor should you. You know, by the way, the notion of a tasteful electronic sign is an oxymoron. Now, just a bit of a lower level comment. As I went through the budget, I found that one of the oldest business tricks in the world is being employed. Probably not on purpose. What you do is you create an expense line, what you're trying to do, and then you create the minimum amount of revenue on the revenue line to offset. So what does this accomplish? It gives you the opportunity to overachieve your revenue line and look heroic. Oldest business trick in the world. Tried it many times myself. I didn't get away with it very often. But I'll say this. There's no line item of revenue for the casinos, revenue. Could it be $10 a month? Could it be $1,000? Could it be $10,000? Just take a flyer. Pick a number. Got to be something. I didn't get better as the tourists come in, but you think. And if you're going to spend money to build up your staff and your personnel expenses and give out raises, take a risk. Be brave. Give us a good revenue number that we can build something on. We're not here to just spend money, spin wheels. I calculated a 6.5% return on the additional expenditures for our restaurant enterprises. Well, I have to tell you that no private investor that I'm aware of ever would invest money for a 6.5% return. So, in closing, I'll say this. If you want to take risks, you want to take a flyer, you want to have fun, I suggest you draw money out of your own account. And I've heard a rumor, there's a big casino open just down the road. Do not take risks. Do not venture the money that belongs to the people in this community. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jack Levering. I'm at 6 Weeping Willow Court in Ocean Pines. And I'm here to discuss a new topic, and I know many of you are here for the budget, but this is an item that I want to at least get started for the Board of Directors to consider. Ocean Pines is a fine place to live. We all enjoy it. All the many amenities we have are wonderful. We should be very fortunate and very grateful for those, and we are. We're neglecting one little segment of our population within the Pines, and that little population is our pet population. I sent a little note to the Board of Directors earlier this week by email, just to forward the idea that this fine community certainly could have maybe a pet dog park run correctly and run very graciously, so that all the little pets could have a place to play and enjoy. We have probably 1,500 to 2,000 pets within Ocean Pines, I would guess. And mainly I'm speaking of dogs, because this would be a dog park. Many of the residents have a fenced yard, and they're very fortunate to have a fenced yard in back of their home. But many aren't, and of course our leash law says that we must have our little dogs on leashes to take them for a walk or to exercise them. It would be good if we could have a dog park, because then they could be off leash, they could learn to socialize, they could have some run and fun times, and this would be beneficial for all the pets and certainly for many of the pet owners. Many of the communities around the area, even Ocean City and surrounding areas in Maryland, have dog parks, and they're set up in a way that there's no liability. Usually it's just a fenced-in area, with some benches, some collection bags, some good regulation and rules, and a good set of requirements for all dogs to be registered and proper shots and so forth before they can participate in the dog park. So all that would have to be taken care of. We have many open spaces within Ocean Pines that would be suitable and I think not objective to some of the residents. Some people say, well, dog parks are noisy and there's a lot of barking. Well, if you've been around dog parks, usually that's not the case at all. Once in a while you'll hear a little yelp of joy or fun or whatever, but they'll let out. But normally they're very quiet. Even near neighborhoods that were objecting to them beforehand, they find out they were not an objectionable thing to have near them. So I would hope that the board of directors might consider this, and Ocean Pines might consider it as an amenity. I see we just got $16,000 from the casino, maybe about $3,000 of that could be used to start an idea for a dog park. And once this thing is set up, it's a very inexpensive operation. As I say, it has to be set up with fencing, usually a large dog area and a small dog area, with benches and collection bags and rules and regulations. So I just wondered what the feelings of the board of directors might be on such an idea, and can I gain some support? Yes.
You certainly can gain some support from me. We've looked at this in the past, and it's just, maybe it's time to go and readdress it again, so.
Yeah, and that's all I'm asking, is that we readdress it. I think the Pines is a wonderful place to live, and it certainly would be an asset to our community. We have many other amenities, skate parks, et cetera, playgrounds. And the dogs would benefit from this, and I think the owners would too. So I would just like some direction from the board of directors on what you feel we should do.
We've got 1 minute. We've got your email. I got it. It's on our radar screen. We will be in touch with you. We're not going to make any decisions on that.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that, but I'd like to forward the idea and let it maybe gather some interest in the populace of the Ocean Pines residents.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Okay, I don't know if anyone has number 3. Who's got 4? 5. 6.
7.
Good one.
Don't worry.
Follow the
The ones before you, Marty, are not cumulative.
Thank you. I also have props. But you know I'd bring it, you didn't have an easel.
5 minutes are up, Marty.
Can't hear that, can you? You hold that up to the side. Here I am again. Consistent history. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you once again about our upcoming budget. I have to add a disclaimer. I didn't get any new numbers in my budget book either. I talked to the controller yesterday. I thought it'd be this afternoon. I haven't seen new numbers, so I'm dealing with old numbers. Sorry. I got this budget book. I was, I think, the first person to pull a budget book down. They were still putting pages in it. I don't know how the board votes on a budget that they didn't have numbers for yesterday. I don't know, Nancy Pelosi would do it. Okay, I want to address this though, this budget. We're looking at, in 5 years, a 48% increase in our assessments. 48%. In the worst economy in the history of Ocean Pines. Your taxes have gone up 8%. Your property values have gone down 30%. That's the bad news. Let's talk the good news. Going through the budget, the board, there's $811,409 in savings. That's $96.11 of your assessment for each and every one of us. How'd I get there? We started, our last audited statement was $174,862 surplus. That's money in the bank, we over budget. Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department request has been shaved by $176,000. Thanks to billing the insurance companies, that's about $20 each. We have improvements in our golf country club and Turns Landing of 184, that's $21.80 each. We have an improvement in our GM office, it's 84,513 from last year. That has to do with having 2 general managers for a period of time. It ain't worth talking about. It's $10 for each and every one of them. At $619,400, $73.37 each. I hate to bore you guys with these numbers, but it's what I do. Now let's take a minute. Back to this budget book. I couldn't find a column for any revenues from the racetrack. It may be our 3rd or 4th biggest revenue producing item. It's not even in the book. If we believe what the newspapers are telling us, we got over 16 grand in December, or January, I guess it was. That's $22.75 each, if you plug it in at $192,000 for the year. We've identified a grand total, $811,409. That's $97.11 savings. Where's all this money going? Oh, God, I'm not going to address payroll. I'm just not going to do it. I've already done it. $820,000 payroll increase in this economy is obscene. If I did that in my business, I wouldn't have made it to year 2. I've been lucky to have 40 years behind me. I want to sum this up because I know they're only giving me 5 minutes. Simple math. Should be one of these boards. Here we go. I've taken the things we just identified. If you don't believe them, they're in the book. They may be dated now. And I've turned them into assessment dollars. There's that 9611 again. Here's last year's assessment, 808. If you do the math, that's 71189. I'm not going to talk about reserves. There is I'm calling it the London Bridge is falling down scenario. The truth is, it's a $45 a year progressive funding plan. Stick it back in there. There it is right there, $45. We're up to $750, $689. Where our assessments, $853. What's the difference? $96.11 from each of us in payroll increases. Board, the Budget and Finance Committee said, cut it in half. I'm going to give you half, split it in half. You're at 808, last year's assessment, no increase. Quality of life's a great thing, but I have people calling my house whose quality of life is being able to afford their groceries. Thank you.
Marty was 7.
I'm number 7.
Okay.
My name's Ernie Artist, 37 Quarterstaff Place. I'd just like to thank Marty and speaker number 1 for their great comments. They're right on the money. Do we want to be in business? I say no. Marty's right about the $820,000 add to the budget. Why is it needed? You got a new general manager who's never had any experience managing a community ever. He has no background in restaurants, parks, recreation, maintenance. But yet, you're going along with his recommendations of $820,000. I think it's just wrong. And, you know, if the man had experience, and he was speaking from experience, and his recommendations had merit, I can understand it. But I don't see any merit. Okay? And that's my personal opinion. And also, you directors have the right to spend 20% of our money annually. That's like $1.6 million. On anything you want to spend it on. That's too much money for you to spend. I look back at Sikorsky, Cook, and Duffy, that group. They stuck us with the swimming pool just because of their arrogance.
You got that right.
Marty Clark stopped them with their bingo bango new community center. They got pissed off and said, well, we're going to do this. And they did it because they had the right to spend $1 million. We can't have you people that have the right to spend $1.6 million on things you just want to spend it on. Look at the $3 million earmarked for this drain thing at the golf course. What a make-believe problem this is.
This golf course has been here 30 years with no problems. All of a sudden, it's got a drain problem. You wasted over $2 million of our money right now on this drain thing. For what? You sit up here and whine about our roads. Yeah, you, Pete. You listen to them. You whine. You cry about the roads. Where's the money for the roads coming? You cry about this building needs to be replaced. Well, guess what? If you put a referendum out, asking the people whether they would rather spend $2 million on a new building here than a make-believe drain problem, I believe recommendation, the new building would have won. You're not getting funding for a second year in a row from the state. So that's $900,000 you're not getting. So you whine about it. What you do, you whine, you cry. Where are we going to get the money at? But yet, you're going along with $820,000 recommendations to add to our budget expenditures that have no merit at all. I think you're wrong. And I think the people in this community better get together, demand a referendum to knock that 20% tag down to $500,000. You shouldn't have the right to spend more than $500,000 on anything. That's how I feel about it. Thanks for the time. Got any questions? I'll try to answer them for you. Once again, thank you, Marty. Speaker number one, you're right on the money. Thanks a lot.
8.
My name is Art Sachs. I live at 4A Bluebill Court. I'm here to ask for some semblance of reality on the part of the directors. We're in a terrible economic situation. The country is, the state is, the county is, but Ocean Pines isn't. It's in a very good situation. But the residents of Ocean Pines are hurting financially. Thousands of us are federal annuitants. We haven't seen a pay raise in 2 years. In fact, this year, most of us had a decrease in our take-home pay. This is a reality. The board has to deal with these realities. I have never been one in the 18 years I've been here to shy away from improving Ocean Pines. In fact, some of you may remember that I was instrumental in trying to push through some big projects. But this is not the time for that. This is the time for fiscal restraint. This is the time that Ocean Pines tightens up its budget just the same as all its homeowners do. There are certain things I don't do as frequently anymore. I cut them out. Do I not like them? Yes, I do like them. But I can't afford to continue doing them at the same pace I did 3 years ago. The board can't afford to continue the same pace it's at now. The money you're spending is our money. It's coming out of our wallets. We're paying for this, and we don't want to pay for it. An increase in fees is an increase in taxes as far as I'm concerned. And I'm here to tell the board, no new taxes. Thank you.
9. 10.
Whoops, I'm 11.
Go ahead, 11.
I can't wait to get him.
Go ahead, 11.
My name is Bruce Quaid, 1445 Ocean Parkway. A couple of the previous speakers have hit on some of the items that I was going to mention, so I won't rehash them. I guess I do, however, agree, and Marty used the word obscene. I believe that these increases in personnel are completely ridiculous and out of touch with reality. I think if I had my druthers, what I would recommend to the board is you vote no for the budget this evening. Go back and sharpen your pencils. Listen to what the people are telling you in the media, online, and in the community, that the budget as proposed a week or so ago, or whenever, is not popular. I think you're hearing a lot of that this evening. I think you need to go back and revisit this budget. I think, as someone said, the slot revenue, which should be part and parcel of this budget, and I'm sure we're going to see something later, some like follow the moving T discussion of what we're doing with slot revenue. The actual fact of the matter is the number could be very substantial. It could be somewhere between $250,000 and $400,000. That money should be incorporated into this budget. It should be part of this budget, and a lot of the other, it should be addressed relevant to all the other parts. As I said, I don't think there's a rush to pass a budget. This is the single most important thing that the board does. They should pass the budget, not a budget. It's the time and the effort. The board has listened to a lot of presentations. They've spent hours going over it. But just because time has been spent, that does not necessarily mean that the budget is what it should be. I think that they should go back and relook at this thing. There is no rush. Yes, apparently there is some stipulation that Ocean Pines has to have a budget by a certain date. We don't need to rush into this. This isn't Bob's budget. This isn't Pete's budget. This isn't Tom. This isn't anybody. This is the Ocean Pine budget. We should take the time and the effort to do it correctly. The country has not had a budget since the beginning of this fiscal year. The Democrats and the Republicans have both said that they're probably not going to get a budget next year. Ocean Pines can operate with a couple of weeks without a budget while the board gets together and gets their act together and attempts to address the issues that are all real to us. They're spending our money, not their money. That's it.
$12. 13.
Hello, I'm Janet Kelly. I'm from 61 Wood Duck Drive. I want to thank the board for taking this time to hear the people. That's not always been the case with boards before. They've made them wait to the very end when it's been going for 3 hours. So I just really thank you that you're listening to it, the people say, and if you find that what we say is valid, that you'll certainly take that into consideration. I'm here tonight to also ask a couple questions. About 5 years or so ago, we got a notice from the IRS that we owed about $300,000. And I was very adamant about that we needed to deal with this the best way we could, but it seemed to never get done. It was going for appeal and appeal and appeal, whatever. So here it is a number of years later, and I believe it's close to $1 million. And I really don't know the IRS ever turning around once they make a decision. So I'm going to ask you tonight, 1, where do we stand with this? 2, how many times have we been to appeal? 3, what's the realistic chance that they will not require this money from us now with all the penalties and the interest? And let's see, there was another 4th one. Is there anybody addressing this, and what are the plans for this? Oh, and the other one is the accounting firm that we had at the time. Will they be at all responsible with us if that debt is legitimate? Do you have any of those? Can you answer any of those?
I'll take the control and Anna to old business, some IRS update. We'll do some words on that later.
Thank you.
Okay.
But I think this has gone on long enough, and if we keep getting no, maybe the answer is no. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy getting the IRS letter 10 days after I became president either. Believe me, I didn't. 13. Whatever. 14.
After the second and third, they're pushing for it.
Mark Thomas, 1132 Ocean Parkway. My parents have lived back here for about 30 years. I've lived here forever, and I bought a house here about 5 years ago. I've watched my assessments go from 575 to I don't know how far it'll be. Pretty soon I won't be able to afford it or pay, so I'll be obviously selling my home at a 40% loss and leaving. I watch the yacht club lose money every year. I watch you all put ads in the paper needing a chef. I'm wondering where that money's going to come from. My dad's a vice principal over in Salisbury. He hadn't gotten a raise in 4 years. My mom's on Social Security, and plus she has a pension, but I mean, she hasn't got a cost of living raise either or anything. I'm working hard. You know, my wife does a little bit of work here and there. I think that when I go to the yacht club on Friday night and I see a $10 burger and a band there and 4 people there and 6 people at the bar, and the manager, the food and beverage manager, sitting down, greeting the couple people that are there and not even saying hi to everyone, there's 8 people there total, I think that's a waste of money. I also think that if he's going to be the food and beverage manager, you should probably be the chef, because you don't need all those positions when you're not making that much money. That being said, a lot of communities offer you know, for your price for your amenities when you're up over $800 or $900, they offer something else besides a park for your kids. You know, say you go play golf 10 times, or maybe you go swimming. You know, not just throw that on top of it. Here's $800 and here's another $300 or $400 to swim. You know, I just think that maybe you could add something on for that, or something could be worked out. I mean, I know it's really tough for everybody. I know it's really tough for you all too. You all don't have an easy job. No one does. So I appreciate Mr. Clark and Speaker 1 for bringing out a lot of things that really need to be brought up, and that's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you.
15. 16. 17. Proving I know how to count. 18.
Bingo.
19. All right, 18. There you go.
My name's Bob Villegas, 329 Fremont Court, and I think most of the folks that spoke before, Marty and speaker number 1, had basically identified the issue. Most of the folks that live here, I don't know what percentage, I guess 50%, are in fixed incomes. They don't have a choice. Their salaries aren't going to increase. There's people on unemployment. They can possibly recover, but the folks that are retired, they have no chance. And the only thing I ask before this board approve the budget, that you really take a hard look, because increasing salaries and staffs in this economy seems to me to be ridiculous. And I just really think you need to take a look at it. I realize you're under a lot of pressure, but as I said before, the country's living without a budget. We can. Let's do it right this time and try to take the expenses down so we don't have to increase the assessments. Thank you. That's it.
$19. 20. 21.
25 is next.
What?
25.
25.
Hey, thanks for throwing me out there.
No warning. No warning. Okay, let me do it. Let me 23, 24, 25.
We're all right here, so
Thanks,
no
Bob.
better way to get over the stage fright than get thrown out there, right? Well, when I came here tonight,
Excuse me, name and address, sorry.
Jerry P. Sweater, 158 Seafarer Lane.
Thank you, Jerry.
And like my friend Mark, my family's been in Ocean Pines since, I think we moved here in 1980. I've owned a house in Ocean Pines since 1995. And I think when I bought my house, my HOA might have been 525, maybe even 475. I can't remember exactly. But the question that my wife and I ask each other all the time is, you know, it's going up an awful lot, so we must be getting a lot more services for that. You know, they must be doing a lot more stuff than they used to do. But I tell you what, when I walk my dogs every night with my wife and take the kids out with me, I see leaves piled up in the ditches all over the place. And I thought you guys came up with, some kind of a new system, new way that you were going to do that this year. It didn't work. I don't have the patience to wait, so I just haul them away myself. We compost what we can and take the rest to Berlin to be composted. The other thing that kind of gets me is the amount of litter. When I moved to Ocean Pines, people didn't throw their McDonald's bags out of their car windows and let them stack up into the ditch. And the homeowners didn't allow them to accumulate there. But we have a lot of people that maybe don't have the same pride of ownership for their properties. And, that's not the board's problem. But I see, a lot of people that work for Public Works that, hey, if they're looking for something to do, why should I have to gather up my son and daughter once a month to walk our block with trash bags? Because we do it. Because we don't like looking at garbage. We have a couple people in our neighborhood that refuse to take care of their property. HOA or CPI is ECI, Eastern Correctional Institute. They're over there all the time, knocking on their door, and they laugh at them. We're not going to clean it. And Ocean Pines, it's basically like a paper tiger. We can ask you, but we can't really make you do it, at least so it seems. But it seems to me if these property owners don't want to clean their house, or maybe these foreclosed properties in the Pines, if the banks don't want to keep their lawn manicured or at least rake the ditches out, maybe these Public Works employees can do it and send that bank a bill. Get reimbursed for the work that you're putting into their property. So I don't have to look out my window at it. Like I said, I've just got a little list of items that I was tapping into my phone as I sat here. As far as the pool, I think you guys hired an aquatics manager. Is that right? I'm busy, so it's hard for me to keep abreast of everything that's going on. But I know that one of your ideas was extending pool hours. And that's going to be the answer for raising revenue. Well, how about you half the price of the membership, so everybody in Ocean Pines can join? Because, hey, if it was like $150, my kids and I would be there all the time. But I just always get the sneaking suspicion that you guys don't want everybody there. You'd rather have it be like a little private club for I don't know, the swimming women or
Amen, my brother. Amen.
I can just tell you that based on my reaction when I take my kids to the yacht club whenever they might let little ones in there. The dirty looks that we get. You don't belong here. But we do. And as far as that's one thing. So maybe you might want to, if you're going to raise the association, raise it to a level that it's going to include something. Give me a swim membership. Maybe negotiate with Chesapeake Waste or whoever rip off of a garbage collection that people are, because we canceled that. I can't spend $200 a year to have them pick up my trash twice a week. So I spend $50, I drive to the dump. But I think if Ocean Pines were to say, hey, what kind of price can you give us for every single property in Ocean Pines? I bet you'd get a heck of a lot better deal than $200. So, maybe think about including that in your HOA. And I used to sell real estate. I still have a real estate license, and I've sold lots of houses in Ocean Pines. And I used to be able to explain, why we pay this $575 or $900, but it's just getting a little bit hard. I just can't justify it anymore. And so that's one of the things. The yacht club, it's always lost money. And I've managed restaurants, I've owned restaurants. When my restaurant stopped making money, I ran out the door. And I think that's what you need to do at the yacht club. So I think you need to decide on a number that you want it to generate, maybe lease it out So you're guaranteed a number. Well, this is what we want to make out of it. Well, get a tenant that'll pay it. And if you don't want to do that, I think another good idea that I've heard one of my friends say is why don't you just tear it down? Tear it down, listen, take advantage of the marina that you have there and put it in its place, put something like what's the place on 15th Street?
Yeah,
The marina?
You got 1 minute left. Okay, just trying to be fair to everybody.
Okay. Well, like I said, put something there. Put like a dock bar there. Something that's going to make money. People come in, go on their boats, have a drink, have a sandwich. You know, like you wouldn't need any more than like a sub shop. Java Beach at the yacht club. That's I don't know. That's 1987. Friends. You know, that's just old news. If I want coffee and internet, I can go to McDonald's. I don't know, and I guess the other thing, it's hard to get people my age to these functions. You know, most of us have stuff going on, but I was lucky enough to be able to sneak out tonight. So, but I want to thank you, and especially the people that pointed out some of the misappropriations of funds. So, thank you.
26. Anybody else? I want to count up to 50. Okay, I want to thank everybody for their input. I'm sure that there are some folks sitting around this table who would love to have responded to some of the things that were said. There will be some information provided as we move through the agenda that I think will answer some of the issues, some of which is new swimming pricing and things that you'll hear about. So let's move on to approval of minutes. The minutes for 12/15 regular board meeting. And let's do 12/15 first.
Tom, I'd like to move approval, but with a recognition that I've got some technical things that, not changing the substance at all, but, so I would move the adoption of the minutes, and as I've discussed with you earlier, I'll forward some technical changes to.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? January 19th.
Same thing, I'd offer a motion to approve those minutes, and again, there are a couple technical glitches that not affecting the substance of it, but so I'll move. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Mr. Bunting, good evening, sir. It's your turn. You're number 26.
I'm Jim Bunting, your District 6 County Commissioner. I almost wish I'd called in sick. Or it was Judy Bald's turn. One or the other. My last report was on December 15th, 2010. I had quite a few items that I was going to go through tonight, but it seems to be a more important issue going on tonight. You probably won't be bored with some of the things I'm going to talk about. I think I'll jump to issues that I think are important to Ocean Pines. First of all, the county staff has been working to amend the zoning and subdivision control article to provide for solar energy facilities. This bill has been drafted and has received favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. A public hearing will be on this bill. This bill will be scheduled, and I believe it's going to be scheduled on March the 15th. Now, Ocean Pines should take a look at the section on small solar energy systems. The small type systems are allowed in residential districts, so you may want to talk to people living in Ocean Pines and figure out how this will affect you as maybe a neighbor having solar panels on the lot. I had 2 appointments recently. I appointed Debbie Hoffman, who's an Ocean Pines resident, to the Housing Review Board. This board deals with rental housing issues. And I appointed Chris Cleby, a Bishopville resident, to the Recreational Advisory Board. Pines Plaza has requested a 6-month extension on the permanent hookup to public sewer. This request was anticipated and allowed for in the original agreement. Okay. Slots. That seems to be on your agenda tonight. It's very exciting. The county has prepared a suggested procedure for the development of the multi-year plan for local impact grant funds from the casino at Ocean Downs. And I've enclosed in my report a list of the membership. It's a 15, I believe it's a 15 membership committee. And then there's a couple, 3 Ocean Pond members of it. So any comments you might want to address those people on the committee. In defense, and I'm not familiar with your budget, but Ocean Pines really does not know yet until this committee meets and sets up parameters of how the money will be distributed. But
That's not true. It's not true. Ocean Pines gets their money directly. It's not part of the county.
Well, if you would, it is part of the county, and the county has to review the funds. I have the law in front of me, and I do want to point out to the Ocean, the Ocean Pines, any money set to the Ocean Pines Association is to be used for specified public infrastructure purposes only. So maybe some of these uses that you're talking about may not be applicable. But I have a copy of the bill with me tonight, and if anybody would like to talk to me afterwards.
Bruce, let me try to clarify something. The monies will come to us directly, but they still have, the expenditure of those monies has to be approved by the local development council.
No.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. They're advisory.
Fine.
Not
The plan will be submitted.
Pete, I saw your motion, and I also looked at the law.
Okay, the money comes to us directly.
That's true, but the other part of it is not specified.
There's no local development council?
Oh, yes, there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bruce,
The
that's
word
what he's talking about.
approve
It has
is
to go through a
inappropriate.
process.
I understand.
They're advisory.
The money comes directly into our bank
I'll
account.
be glad to go over this with you after.
Yeah.
the meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Now I think you get a sense of why you don't have a line item in the budget for what the casino money may or may not be. We're not even
What it can
sure
be
what the
used for.
rules are yet of when we're allowed to spend it, who gets to say what we get to do. We do know what the first month's revenues are. We don't even know what the second month's revenues are yet. So we clearly are trying to put in place, as best we can, the procedures that allow us to manage this money the best we can, Jim, in association with the 15 people that are going to be appointed by law.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out from reading the law whether or not they really have authority or not. The reality is that we need to put in place rules that control the money, and then we'll figure it out from there, okay?
Right.
So everybody can understand. Jim, go ahead.
I guess the big thing is I would like to talk a little bit about the county budget. We received a revenue projection update from the staff for 2012, 2013. As you know, the state is looking at a $1.6 billion deficit. What's this going to do to Worcester County? Well, first of all, in 2012, it's not certain yet, but it's 99% certain. The State Department of Assessments and Taxation has an office down at the county building, is currently rented by the state from the county. Well, they're going to turn that over to the county. And the estimate is that next year, in 2012, that's going to cost the county an additional $612,000.
Yeah.
Okay, in 2012, our 2011, our proposed revenue from property taxes was a little over $128 million. Due to reassessments and property values going down in 2012, it's going to drop to $126 million. And in 2013, the bad news, it's going to go down to $117 million. It's a decrease of assessments coming to the county of our property taxes of over $10 million. So that's one thing we're going to have to contend with as county commissioners. Okay, also, recently, of course, you've read it in the papers, the state committee has recommended that Maryland General Assembly considering transferring the cost of teachers' pensions and retirement to the counties. We think we're going to sneak through 2012, but we're almost certain it's going to happen in 2013. That expense is going to be estimated from $2.5 million to $7 million. As you know, the county has had a hiring freeze ongoing for a couple of years now, and it's still in effect. In fact, we recently voted to not even allow one of the judges to have a new person in his department. It didn't make the judge very happy. So we're sticking to the hiring freeze. Another thing that it's not a lot of money, but it is a lot of money. Affecting Ocean Pines, the county revenues from highway user money was last year, I think, was approximately $241,000, which Ocean Pines received $24,000. The projected revenue for next year is $161,000, which will drop to 16 for Ocean Pines. So that's a direct effect. And I'll be brief, but be glad to answer any questions after the meeting. But you know, the county commissioners basically have two choices. Number one is raise taxes. And when I ran, I promised I would not raise taxes. And my good friend here, Art Sachs, gave me a book to read, and it's called My American Journey by Colin Powell. And there's a quote in it which I think really makes a lot of sense. Colin Powell said, "I believe every tax dollar taken away from a consumer or a business is a dollar that will be spent less efficiently than if left in private hands." That's why I stand on raising taxes. The second choice is going to be even more difficult, but I think it's the best choice. I'm working to cut government waste and make sure every tax dollar is spent responsibly. And I'm definitely working on economic development that will increase the county's revenue. And I think the combination of these will get us through the next 4 years. But thanks for having me here tonight, and I'll be glad to talk to anybody after the meeting.
General Manager's report. Bob? Yeah.
Take the lamp on off. Bob? Yes. What are we going to do, Jenny's presentation?
I thought so.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's get
You want to
Jenny.
go back?
Yeah. Let's see what Tom wants to do on it. She was up. Tom?
Do you have hard copies of that?
Tom? Jenny was going to do her presentation?
Whoops.
Whoops. They caught me a little off guard, but I can do it.
No, Jenny.
My fault.
Slid the paper down and covered Jenny up. My fault.
I didn't get one.
There it goes. Yes,
Do you have hard copies of your report? I do. Good.
Jenny,
I'm here.
you're on. Sorry.
Just finish it at 5:30.
Sorry, I won't take much of your time.
Thanks, Sean. I
Bob, appreciate it.
I had my paper here. And,
I was ready.
I apologize. My fault. So I get for taking notes.
Nice.
Your haircut there?
Okay, I'm Jenny Reister. I am chairman of the Aquatic Advisory Committee for Ocean Pines. And I'm here to share with you a recommendation and a resolution that the Aquatic Advisory Committee passed at its last meeting on January the 25th. And this says, all Ocean Pines swimming pools and their inside/outside spaces be made smoke-free with signage to that effect. The December 2010 publication of the Surgeon General's report found that secondhand smoke was an increasing risk to not only smokers, but to non-smokers and children. Now, you might ask why we did this. The pools, with the exception of the Yacht Club, were mandated to be smoke-free in 2010 by the board. Many Yacht Club users have complained about smoking at the Yacht Club pool, and in particular, cigar smoke. We understand that the yacht club deck bar is not smoke-free. We have no control over that. And that there is a smoker's bench outside of the front of the yacht club, right on the circular driveway with the cuspidor. If the board accepts this resolution, the lifeguard staff will no longer provide ashtrays within the confines of the pool fence. If passed, this should become effective on Memorial Day weekend, when all of the Ocean Pines pools open for the summer. We do not require an answer. Thank you. Now, the good news is from the beginning of the year, well, actually from December, we have been keeping statistics on the attendance at the pool. Back when this pool was covered in October 2007, it was not a popular decision with a lot of people. And I understand that. We're trying to make it better. Okay, but it is. So that's great. No. Okay, so we are offering more activities. We have much better attendance, and there are a lot of people enjoying it for their health as well as fun. We have now coming up 8 different water exercise programs at all hours of the day and night. We have swimmer lap lanes left for the swimmers. We have 3 swim teams that actually practice in the pool. And we still have time for people like Tom Stouse to faithfully perform his laps every day. Okay?
Tom's
The figures are, December 2010, we had total visits of 2,379 for the month.
Different people?
Mostly different people. We do have some people who come in for different things.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying
Yeah,
if
right, yeah.
I'm the same person twice.
We count each time they come in, if they come in at different times. I keep it by the hour and by the event. Okay? January 2011, total visits were 3,183. February 2011, we're not finished the month yet. In fact, we're a day short because January the 31st was on a Monday. We work Monday through Sunday. And the figures for 2 weeks, 1 day left, 1,511. Okay, so each month we've been moving up little by little. We have birthday parties. We had a soccer team come in after its game on Saturday. Our statistics are in general up over 100 per day, and that includes weekends, which have been very, very slow since the first of the year, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday we teach a lot of lessons in the morning, so that's a pretty good thing. And on Sunday we have 2 new activities which are drawing customers, including the triathletes. Somebody mentioned Chris Cleavy's name. He's the one who's doing that, and we're helping him. So, the other thing that we had asked for and got was the winter 1/2 price swim membership. And to date, we have 27 people or families that have signed up for that. And that has yielded us unexpected income of $4,808 at this point. So it was a good idea to do it. And these are the people who would be the members if we can come up with a membership that can be paid off monthly, by the month. Okay? They are people who are using the pool for activities. But they would be happy to be members if we can charge them and let them pay their bill, pay it for a year, half year, whatever we are offering, and they'll pay it by the month and have their checkbooks debited. All right, thank you very much. There are a few other little items here. Let me see that I haven't missed anything. Oh, we also have a kayak instructor who has been using our pool in its off time to teach various people how to roll their kayaks, which has kind of excited a little bit of attention in our pool. This gentleman is a certified kayaking instructor, and we're hoping to have him teach a genuine kayak course at the Swim and Racket this summer, where they can learn in the pool and then go out and practice in the river. So we are leaving no stone or group unturned. All right, I think that the other thing you are going to have, I think, some mention of solar heat or alternative energy resources in your report? No. Well, Sports Core is being studied for the use of solar energy and possibly geothermal, and we are looking into that. We're a long way from any decision on that. Our biggest single cost is the cost of propane to heat the pool. Then there's a better way to do it, and we'll find it. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny.
Mr. President, point of order. Public questions allowed from the presenters?
One, go ahead.
Just one?
Go ahead.
No problem, I'm sorry.
Before that place was enclosed, I would drive by there on summer Saturdays and Sundays, and I would see hundreds of people around that pool. It looked like a veritable anthill.
I was here then.
Where do those people go to the pool now?
Well, some of them are still there.
Very few in the summer, ma'am.
Well, no, I beg to differ. We had a splendid summer for hot weather last summer, and we had many, many people who used the sports court, particularly because they weren't out in the sun.
Do you have statistics to support this?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Folks, let me say something here in relation to what Jenny's trying to do.
Thank you, Jenny.
I've had a lot of people over the last month or so and talking about this whole budget thing. They keep bringing up the covered pool to me. We didn't cover the pool. We inherited a pool that was covered. When you hear phrases like open for business, this is exactly what we're talking about. Is the staff trying to find a way to make the most out of what we've got by having it open and generating classes and giving people things to do and ways to generate $1 or $2 to come in. I can't say whether I would have covered the pool or not. The fact is it got covered. And the reality is when we challenged our staff to step up and make the most out of what we've got and make it open and available, that's what open for business means. I'm not opening a, eat at Joe's. That's not the idea. The idea is we have amenities that were closed. We had a community center that wasn't open in the evenings, wasn't open in the weekends. It closed in late afternoon every day. It wasn't staffed. It made no sense. We have amenities that need to be open for us to use year-round, and what Jenny and her team and others are trying to do is a great example, as far as I'm concerned, of a staff member who's trying to make the best out of what we've got and possibly even turn it into a plus. So I think she deserves a lot of recognition for trying to do that. Do we need to challenge the numbers? Of course. But I want to take the opportunity to explain what did open for business mean. That's what it means. It means using the amenities we've got, keeping them open, making them available for us, putting the price tags in place, the half-price winter swimming, doing the right things with the product so that people can use it. Just wanted to take an opportunity to explain that. Okay? Okay, moving on. Now, can I get to the general manager's report?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Stevens, I did try to, the second slide, I did try to blow it up to bring a copy over. I jammed up the printer. Fortunately, I had these printed on the other printer, so I will make a larger copy of that.
Maybe we should recess until
to bring my magnifying glass for this one. My glasses.
Did you hold that for me?
I can. It's up on the board. I just wanted to go over the. Come on. Is that all right? You guys have this in front of you. Breaking down by each of the cost centers.
Get a mic.
Sure. I'll stand so I can face you. How's that? Breaking down by the cost centers.
I hear you.
How far in the back can you hear?
It doesn't carry in the back.
How's that? Better? And we do have seats up front for those of you who may want to move up to see some of these. Administration, And again, this is a slide we go over every month. For those, we have a lot of new faces here, thanks for being out, but this comes up every month, just so everybody knows. Administration, you can see our revenue numbers, expenses, actual net, and budget net, a negative $60,000 variance. Don't drop my flag, Art.
I'm trying not to. Yeah, but the ceiling.
Public Works, 91, $1,166,000. Actual net is $1,075,000. Budgeted net, $1,019,000. Negative variance of $55,000. Public safety, that includes fire, police.
Is this through January or is this the first quarter?
Yeah, this is for January.
Through
January.
January.
22,870 to the good. Recreation, 95,000 to the good. Aquatics, 56,000 positive variance. Golf ops, 31,000 to the negative, which was where we expected when the change went to BCG. Beach Club, still positive. Yacht Club, 36,789 to the positive. And you gentlemen have those numbers. We have end of January, a positive variance for our budget, $72,500. Aquatics, and Ms. Jenny already went over the numbers. You know, questions come up with the, and Ms. Jenny, where you moved to, but thank you. I know you and Tom have worked real close together, and things are going real well. Thank you for that. Despite what some people are saying are concerned statistics, we never kept stats before. We're keeping them now. And I appreciate you all doing that. As part of Open for Business, the only way we track how we're doing is to actually track the statistics of what our changes are doing. We've been doing that the last few months. December total visits. Okay, some folks do, and to your point, sir, in the back, you know, folks that come back, it's when you come in to use the pool, we're tracking every time someone's using it, you know, different times. So Mr. Stouse is an example that may come back multiple times, counts as multiple visits. But you can see what's interesting, if you look at, it's continuing to go up each and every month, month to month, week to week. Really proud of this. And to the gentleman in the back that spoke, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. You drew number 25 and had to get right up. We did offer a half-price membership. Some folks are taking advantage of it. It's a big hit. I mean, it's working. So these were revenues that we did not anticipate. But again, Open for Business, trying to do things differently. Some things we did this month, a little different, getting smarter. Benchmarking. What we decided to do was pay a visit to the largest homeowners association in the region, and that's Columbia. They were extremely positive to go meet with, and I know some folks in the room here actually have lived there or come from that area. These folks were great. We took a ride up and talked to Mr. Nelson, was their president of their association. Just a really nice guy. He was very gracious, spent a lot of time with us. Oh, sorry, my fault. The director of IT. I'm sorry I butchered his name if I tried to say it. Wonderful man. He was, everyone that we visited, Valerie, Mr. Reddy, and Mr. Nelson were wide open. We were talking about their programs, what they use, what type of systems they use, what registrations, how they build their fee structures. I mean, we kind of went over the whole gamut. You're figuring if they're the largest, they've been in business about as long as we have, as from you know, the association itself, but they're obviously a lot larger than we are. So figure we go check them out and see what they're doing very well. So that ended up, we're doing some benchmarking. We're looking at some other software. They actually pointed us in some direction. Their IT guy was phenomenal from a standpoint. Actually, pointing us, he gave us a list of things they tried that didn't work so well and recommendations of things we should be considering that were a lot less expensive. So overall, it was just a great visit for us, but it certainly opened our eyes up to a lot of new information. Public Works. Just updating you guys on some things we're doing in Public Works. And I actually spoke to a gentleman at length earlier in the week. The finger piers here are finished. The bulkhead all the way around is now finished. I haven't filled in all the dirt yet. That's going to happen in the next week or two. But the finger piers were just put in. Okay, so this is a picture today. The sun was out. I thought I'd make sure for those of you who haven't been down. Looks beautiful down there. Country Club. Okay, this room, believe it or not, is right through that wall. Okay, what we did was we're trying to utilize our facilities more efficiently. Well, using them efficiently, I have to get folks over here to use them. So we're trying to create some opportunities and some reasons, you know, if they're going to come here and use them, put them in a little nicer situation. This cost us next to nothing. Our Public Works painted it, cleaned it up, and when you leave, just peek around the corner. We have tables in. We have a lot of the car groups and such that have been using some of the other facilities starting to come over here and use, which what it does for us is free us up to allow us to use the community center in a different way, where we have more programming that we actually charge fees for. So this was these guys did a great job. Downstairs, for those that haven't seen it, still under, and it's dark now, but Damien and his team with Billy Casper Golf, gentlemen, have done a great job down there. Some things I want to point out, those that golf or have been interns, remember the color of the walls up here, the wallpaper. Okay? It was really an interesting dynamic. They peeled it all off. They cleaned it up. If you remember, there were rails along here, along these walls, the real thick. Opened those up, cleaned them up.
Early brothel.
The walls all the way around, everything got taken out and torn down and cleaned up, which is wonderful. Again, and they're doing it all in-house. Different views of it. The other thing I wanted to point out, the window, right here is where the turns grill part is, and they took the rails out here. We have, right in here, there's a bad leaks inside the, and Mr. Stevens, you probably know this as much as anybody, right in that room, the foyer, bad leak right in that area, it couldn't get it fixed. Well, part of the reason is the way this whole structure here is attached to the building. I believe that when this was added onto, it's created a gap there, and the water keeps leaking. It settles in there and then finds its way down into the facility all over. There's a whole run right in here. Well, the only way to get to it is to tear into it. Well, Public Works can do it. See this set of streamers here, these stair streamers? What we've done is, in looking at how to fix that problem so it doesn't continue to run into the building, looking at tearing this part out, and instead of having all these attachments, it's going to run this way. What it does is open up this whole section. See where the stairwell blocks the view from underneath? Mm-hmm. All this is going to get cleaned up. One simple set of stairs are coming down there. Pretty cost-effective way to do it, and it's cleaning up this whole area. And Damien's here. What do you think, Damien's open it up for you? So working on that. So real pleased with that. So just so you guys know what's going on there. The cafe, which is part of the yacht club, for those that don't know, numbers are working. Those who said, the gentleman that said about folks coming in, we should stop by Friday night, packed house. The last few weekends with a band, it's been packed. We're really pleased. And you're right, years past, we only had 5, 6, 7, 8 people on a Friday night. We're putting some effort into this, not because I want to run a restaurant, sir. You and I talked the other day. One of the hardest businesses to be in, but we need to drive some revenue so we don't have to keep passing the burden on to our residents when we need to make some of these replacements. The way I see doing it is driving revenues through creating events and activities so people will come back and use the facilities. It's working so far. Phase 2, again, in-house, Public Works is doing it. Those who have not been under there, I thought we'd go snap some shots today to show you what's happening behind the curtain. That right here is the wall where the 3 mirrors were, okay? Above it, we've raised that ceiling. It was just about 7 feet. It's now up to 9.2. Raised it to match the rest of it. So it's really cleaning that area up and redoing some of the lighting in there. This is what's behind the curtain, guys, just for those who haven't been over there to see it.
Lovely.
Is that the yacht club?
Yes, ma'am.
Where in the yacht?
Right in the dead center when you walk in.
Oh.
There's the bar.
Yeah, there's, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, there's the bar. Right here, there's Java Bay on the other side of that wall. Okay? All this has been torn out. Guys are doing a great job over there. That's
And fast, too.
Oh, my goodness, they're working. Okay? No, that's the bar.
Bob?
Yes, sir.
You might comment on the action of the board to approve what you did here at the last meeting to do this phase.
Well, I was kind of talking to you, it's the board being used, but the board approved. Yeah, the board approved, so we can continue with some costs to finish off the first floor, because we're having success there, people are coming. And the biggest complaint we've had, which I have to tell you, this time of year I wasn't expecting, not enough seating at lunchtime.
That's right.
That's right. You know, so what we're doing seems to be working. Now, I'm not going to say it's a perfect science, but we're certainly trying. There's the wall, ma'am, you were asking where that is. There's the wall where the mirrors are. Cafe's there, the front door's on this side. Right here is the kitchen. Okay? But the reason it's all wrapped is we've got to be open for business. So we wrap this up so they can stay open and serve lunch. And however, today, it's all blocked off. There's no dust getting out of this area. And they were still open early this morning and during lunchtime. Again, a little busy over there. There it is from the outside. So you can see the other side of the curtain. Better?
Yeah, I was just there last Friday. I guess they did this.
Yeah, we had folks early this morning. We're sitting there, a whole group of folks were sitting out by the windowsill. It was wonderful. So again, we're just trying to bring more energy into the facility to keep driving revenues. Okay, other things going on with Public Works. We talked about Java Bay. Manklin ball fields are it's part of it's in the budget, but we're basically they're reseeding, they're getting those ready for spring, working on the dugouts a little bit, just clean that whole area up. We have a sprinkler system out there that's been broke for a while. Those of you know we moved gentleman from golf over to Public Works. Well, he's got this down. They laid it all out and fixed the sprinkler heads and readjusted. So we should have a real nice facility over there this year. Road signs, we're in the road sign. You guys know we're in the road sign. We're replacing the signs, not because we want to. It's required with the reflective tape or the reflectivity of the signs. It's a requirement. We had to stop. Public Works was hitting us pretty hard, but with the cold weather, I don't know if you guys have seen, they worked real hard to make sure they were up, lined up exactly right. Well, a lot of them have started to tilt because the ground's just so cold, so they're putting the new posts and signs in with the right height and reflective tape. And as the weather's changing, they're tilting, so they have to duplicate work. So they've slowed down just a little bit, but plan is to continue that process. Mumford's Landing Pool, the pavers have all been replaced out front that were cracking and that patching of the area there, so that's all getting cleaned up. We're looking at the possibility of doing a walking trail. We've had a lot of folks, that whole campus at Swim and Racket. I'll give you the overview. Here's the pool where we did all the work recently. Right. Okay? And then here's all the decking that got replaced. For those who haven't been out there, you've got to go out and see it. It really is beautiful. We're looking at a potential, the crush and run that we do, and doing a walking trail around the facility, down the dock, and back around this way. Just as another possibility. We're trying to see what it would cost and how much energy would need to go into doing it, but the crush and run's pretty cost effective to put in. But everything else is being cleaned up. We thought that might be a good thing for the spring.
Is that in-house?
Yeah, oh, yes.
The decking?
The decking? Yeah. Oh, no, the decking was done outside, sir. Okay, one of the things that we paid attention, I want to bring it to everyone's attention, assessments, overdue assessments. I have handouts. Okay, just wanted to give you all an update. We talk about, but I'm not sure everyone understands the full process on the assessments. We put a lot of energy into it lately. One of the things when you start to look at it is almost $500,000 in assessments that are outstanding. Thought maybe I'd go over the process with you guys just so everybody understands what we're doing and then show you some of the new enhancements. We're taking a much different look than years past on this, and we're already starting to see some of the benefits. Let's start with the process right now. Our process, just so everybody understands how this works. Step 1, mid-March, HOA bills go out. 2, May 1st, the assessments are due. July 1st, if the assessment has not been paid, we send our first delinquent letter. This is in-house. August 2nd, our second letter gets mailed out. And again, you guys have these right in your front of the handout I gave you. 3, notice of intent, file lien. We're following FO4 that was established last year, okay? That's the process that this encompasses. I thought this was a cleaner way to explain it than just keep referring back to FO4. 6, October. Any certified letters not picked up or signed for, copies are made physically and posted on the property. Our staff is doing this. I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news with 500,000 assessments, but to be honest with you, I think we should be trying to do everything we can to collect it. The vast majority of our folks pay them timely. I think it's unfair to them not for us to take action, at least as a management team, so we're trying. November, liens are filed through the county. December, notice of lien filed to property owners. List is also given to the attorney so they can send a letter as well. Again, we keep elevating with each step. January, February, legal proceedings are permitted to start. February, all outstanding balances are identified, process we just went through, and most egregious offenders are selected for foreclosure proceedings. What we chose to do is because of the numbers, we're doing them 10 at a clip. I say at a clip, I don't mean to be, but we do 10 at a time.
Isn't that like $450 each time you do it?
Actually, Mark, it is now.
Yeah, that changed. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of money just because
Oh, no, you're correct.
Correct.
Notice of intent foreclosure letters are sent from the attorney. 45 days later, OPA can file complaints for foreclosure. Court order has to say we can sell the property. Notification served to delinquent property owners. 15-day mediation period once that occurs. Notice of sale posted. Has to be posted 3 times, 3 weeks in a row. It's about $600 to do the full posting. Property may be sold 30 days after that. This is right out of FO4, but it's in a little more condensed. We're in the midst of it. I thought it was appropriate to cover it. Some of the enhancements we started last week. A new phone call process. And again, it's not completely fleshed out, but I just wanted you guys to see what we're doing differently.
Bob, let me ask a question about the delinquency. There is for the folks who may not know, there is a team of people that meet with you that go over the delinquents, and you decide based on the relative.
Tom, I'm going to report on that a little bit later.
Later.
Bob's going to give this overview, and then I'm going to, okay.
Right.
So I'll cover that when I do it.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. The new initiative is where phone call is made. We start making phone contact immediately on the entire list. Okay. We have someone now focused on that. A good majority of her day is working through this process. We didn't have this type of attention paid to it before. If contact is made, we try to work out a plan of payment. If we can agree on the phone on a plan of payment, we send a letter. In your attachment, gentlemen, is A6. It's attachment 6, shows you that letter. If we can't make contact, okay, we validate that the number, if it's a good number, and then we leave several more messages, hoping that we get some response, and then if we don't, we're going to send a certified letter. We're finding that many of these, when we call them, are not valid numbers, so we're moving to step 3. Whitepages.com or switchboard.com is what we're now soliciting to see if we can find, the new number for the person. County website will tell us if the property's been sold, and maybe there's some new, if we know that they've moved to a different address, we can try to find their phone number there. Reverse search based on their name, and a Google search. Okay, so these are all steps we're actively now taking with the entire list. Okay, just want you guys to know what we're doing with the foreclosure process. And Mr. Gobsek, do you want to speak?
On the agenda, I'm down there under old business and delinquent assessments, but I don't have a whole lot to add to him. And why don't we, just do it right now. Let me pass out, you all got this via email here in the last couple of days, I believe, from me. And what it is, and I'll just summarize it again because you all have had it, hopefully you've had an opportunity to review it. FO4 that Bob refers to created a process that convenes the group that Bob made reference to in the month of February to complete our activities by March 1st. We've actually completed those activities as of now. So, gentlemen, what you see here is my memo, and it simply summarizes the meetings that we've had as a committee. And again, it's an annual function. The committee itself consists of the treasurer of the organization, the general manager, a representative of the Budget and Finance Committee, the assessment supervisor, and the controller. That group of 5 people sits down in February under the requirements of FO4 and specifically focuses on those that are over a year old, because that's where the foreclosure process comes into play. So I must tell you that I am very pleased at the more proactive approach that we're taking right now as an organization under Bob's leadership, and the phone call, something we haven't historically done here too much in the past, and we're now doing. So I've just simply, there's no action required on the part of the board here, by the way. It is required under FO4 that we as a group of 5 report annually to the board what our process has been, where we are, and any recommendations that we offer in terms of changing the policy. We have no such recommendations on the policy front. The summarization that you see on page 2 is pretty key, and again, it supports what Bob's talking about, the $500,000, but it is, as you can see, it's up from last year by about 30%. So we understand times are difficult and some people are having difficulty paying. On the other hand, lots of people can pay. They're in Florida right now that still owe us dues. So our intent is to work with the people if we can, and in fact, I draw your attention to the bottom category there, summary of the status as of February 4th, and we actually have 63 people, 63 of our members are in some kind of a repayment plan that they've worked out with Ocean Pines. And those are the people we set aside, we try and work with them. We're not going to foreclose on somebody that is working with us and trying to make a good faith effort to pay. So here's the summary of it. I'll be happy to, again, you all have had a couple of days to look at it. And I don't know that there's anything more I can add to this except that elaborate on what Bob said about the group of 10. The group of 10 is actually foreclosure process that Bob has already spoken to. Our attorney filed 2 more groups this week to initiate the foreclosure process on the properties. Again, that's after excluding those that are in bankruptcy, obviously, those that may have been foreclosed on by a financial institution. We can't do much about that. And then we also exclude those that have worked with us to establish a repayment plan, and we're pleased to see that that number is, as it is here, 63%. Our ultimate objective is to not own further real estate, but rather to collect the money that's owed to us. And I am pleased to tell you that the initial success rate, notwithstanding the fact that we've got bankruptcies and things we can't do anything about, on page 1, we collected 40% of the amount that was owed to us by those that owed the largest single amounts of money. We focused this on a top-down basis, largest number of dollars owed, and we're descending through the list, okay? So the group 1, which is the group that owed us the most money a year ago, we actually have so far collected 40% of what they've owed us. And again, some we can't do anything about. So I'll just pause right there. I think that's what I wanted to cover. And if there are any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them. But again, there's no action required on the part of the board.
Am I?
Yeah.
I am reading this right correctly, or it kind of hit me when I saw on the. Basically, the amount of assessments outstanding is quadrupled in 2 years. Am I reading that correctly?
No, you're not.
Let's see, it was 0.9%.
I put a percentage here, Dave. It's 33% current year. It's 33% higher this year than last year in Category 1. Previous years is up 23%. Are you following this?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I put the percentage there.
What's that?
Oh, okay. What he's questioning is, okay, you all see that on page 2?
Yeah.
We contrast 2011 with 2010 to give you a sense of how it compares with a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What Dave is asking about, I believe, is I put on here, as I did last year in the report, the total annual assessment dollars. So when you look at how much is owed to us, you need to understand how much has been billed. So for this year's current year column, Dave, we billed $7.5 million, and we're owed out of that $312,000.
Which is 4.2.
Correct, 4.2%. Those people that owe us the prior year's dues, that aggregates $133,000 remaining from that group.
So you're not comparing year to year, you're looking at what's owed, basically, how many years it's owed.
A year ago, our assessments were $7.1 million. Out of that $7.1 million, $133,000 is owed to us. Okay?
Okay.
So the point is, we're collecting, 96, 97% of what's owed to us, but we need to go after the, with all due respect to the people that have difficulties, we'll work it out with them. But for those who snub their nose at us and say, come get me, okay. Because the other members, you all need, you pay your dues, and you should have an expectation that others do as well, so.
Yeah, Marty.
Okay, all right, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a
Thank you.
question. Have the two directors that aren't directors anymore that were delinquent as hell paid up?
Moving on.
Let me, I'm not going to respond to that, but let me just point out to the people. All right, I will respond in a sense. We are focusing on the largest dollars owed to us, not who the hell they are, okay?
Well, one of them was the number one.
That's enough. Thank you.
That's not important, I guess.
It's not extra.
All right, the other, and again, I thought it was appropriate, since this is the month when we're required to go over this per FO4, that you gentlemen know what we're doing in collection efforts. Three other things that aren't on the slides were we have signed up for Maryland Land Records so we can track property values. A little hard to say we're going to go after someone delinquent if they're upside down in their house. It's money to Mr. Thomas's comment about it's a lot more expensive now to go at it. We need to use a meaningful process. We're also looking at different ways of executing title searches ourselves, or ways to do it more economically, and they're out there. Okay, so I just want to make sure I pass that on. Now, the other thing that we're working on is the 10-year task force. I've already started speaking to a couple of the folks that were on it before. The whole thing for us about, why are we looking at businesses? We're a homeowners association. I'll show you in one slide, and I think you gentlemen will get the point. That's what a good portion of our 40-year-old infrastructure looks like. That's the inside of piping. That's the only amount left where water can pass through.
Is that the water I drink?
No, sir. No, sir.
Excellent question.
It's not, but I did want to point that out. This is inside pipe at one of our facilities, okay? These are the things we're dealing with. So we have options, gentlemen, as we're moving forward, especially with the budget. And I know a lot of folks, there's a lot of energy around it. But truth of the matter is, we have 40-year-old facilities that are going to need attention, okay, one way or the other. This is part of the infrastructure that most people don't see every day. So at some point, with 40-year-old buildings sitting here at the beach, we've got to figure out what we're going to do with them. We're going to need some funds to do so. Everything around the budget for us is built on driving revenues. The purpose isn't because I love running businesses. It'd be easier not to run a business and just kind of mosey along. But if we don't raise some revenues somehow to pay for replacement of this type of stuff, it's either going to be a special assessment to everybody, okay, or we're going to have dramatic increases. So the 5-year plan that the board adopted 2 years ago with a slow gradual increase is to take care of these type of things coming up. Okay. Anything else, gentlemen?
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks.
Thank
Tom,
you, Bob.
we're going to discuss the budget next on the agenda? Yep. Why don't I start off then with a motion and get it on the table for discussion? Does that be all right? Okay. Obviously, the principal item we have on the agenda tonight is the budget, and I would like to move adoption of this motion here. It's a standard motion that we've done in other budget meetings in prior years, although I've only been on the board 2. So here it is. I move the adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2012 budget, which budget reflects total revenues of $9,141,243 and operating expenses and transfers of $9,139,290, a basic assessment of $853, and capital expenditures of $1,453,110. The aforementioned fiscal year 2012 budget is a revised version of that presented at the public hearing held on January 22, 2011, and reflects changes resulting from the extensive review process involving the Budget and Finance Advisory Committee and the Board of Directors.
A second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Okay.
Did just what happened that you just determined what the wording of the motion was going to be?
That is the motion.
What just happened?
Bruce, that is the motion.
There's a motion. It's not
It's
passed.
been moved and seconded. That's what we're saying. And now we get to talk about it.
It's not complicated. The motion has been made and properly seconded, is now up for discussion. Is that correct, Mr. President?
Correct.
Okay.
Turn it on.
Nobody wants to move? I'll talk first.
Well, I'll talk.
I'll talk.
I'll talk.
Turn it on.
Well, I was just,
Is it on?
Yeah.
probably will have.
Yeah, let me, since I made the motion, let me be the first to comment. And this has been a very, very difficult process this year with the budget. No question about it. The turnout here tonight indicates a lot of passion around this. It's not easy to be raising taxes or somebody's assessment. And that's exactly what this motion does. It comes over the last 2 years. We have also had similar increases in assessments with the budgets both in the current year in 2011 as well as in 2010. What we have in front of us here and what we've been struggling with over the past almost 6 weeks now is a budget that reflects in large part what Bob Thompson just showed you up there, an aging infrastructure. Several years ago, a plan was developed, embraced by the board. It's been approved on 2 other occasions. This is year 3 of what we've called the 5-year funding plan, which is, as you all know by now, $30 increase specifically dedicated to specific purposes. The specific purposes are essentially 2. 26 of the $30 increase each year goes into a special fund, a separate and distinct component of our replacement reserve fund to fund the big ticket items, if you will, the major capital needs of this community, which are continuing to be identified by the 10-year plan task force. The original list of those items totaled something like $2.8 million. In addition, there was $500,000 of accumulated operating fund deficits that wasn't getting much attention. It was sort of sitting on the books. It's like having a checking account that was negative, overdrawn, if you will. And so the 5-year funding plan, which this is incorporated in this proposed budget, is year 3 of that 5-year plan. It's a separate $30 amount, $4 of increasing each year to go into the deficit reduction, which over 5 years would eliminate the $500,000 deficit. And the other piece of that is a $26 amount. It was $26 in the first year, another $26 in the second year, and this proposed budget has another $26 in the third year. And the purpose of that is to accumulate the monies necessary to pay for the major infrastructure items. I think, as the directors, I think we've pointed out to date, again, we're keeping very specific track of the dollars that go into this and come out of that. And I know there are lots of folks here interested in the budget. We have already spent to date through the end of this year all of the monies that we've collected under years 1 and 2 of that separately dedicated fund. And this budget, with the newly identified need at the yacht club for the pool decks and the pumps and the decking and so forth, we as a board directed the general manager, you'll recall, a week ago, to put into this year's budget $600,000 because of that need. We were pretty unanimous, I think, in putting that in there, right? Well, that then would take us through the end of the year 3 of the 5-year plan, having spent more than the entire amount raised in that 5-year plan. I think Art Carmine may or may not have, but I will at this moment pass out this other sheet to supplement all your other budget sheets. And what you see very clearly, gentlemen, is the results of your direction to the general manager to come back with a budget that included that item in it. And so I direct your attention to the replacement left-hand side of the schedule that now incorporates that into it. You all remember this schedule from before, but this schedule did not have the directive of the board to include that particular item. So in the second column, what you see is the 5-year plan. We collected $219,000, $26 per member in year 1. In year 2, that 5-year amount was twice that. We collected $438,000. And so far, we have now spent on the Wood Duck project $300,000, and the Swim and Racket Club project, which was budgeted at $500,000, we frankly came in $15,000 under budget at $485,000. But we have spent $800,000 to date, while having collected the $438,000 and the $219,000. So at the end of this fiscal year, April 30th, 11, we will have spent, some people say we're stockpiling the money. I submit to you we are not stockpiling the money. We have spent $131,000 more than we've taken in for this particular component of the 5-year funding plan. This coming year, again, with the additional identification of project that needs to be done this year, we will take in $658,000 under the 3rd year of the plan this year, and we will spend $600,000. So at the end of fiscal year 2012, that is April 30th, we will have at that point in time spent $69,960 more than we have taken in for that special component for the 5-year plan. And the rest of the items on this list, I think, gentlemen, are what you've seen before. So this does reflect what we're talking about. I might point out at this point in time that the 10-year plan task force, which has been, and we understand why, I was on that, I was privileged to be on that 10-year plan task force, and we met for a solid year and a half, meeting at least twice a month. We identified all of the, we were instructed by the board of directors to evaluate all of the major facilities in Ocean Pines to come up with a plan over a period of years, frankly 10 years, imagine that, to a plan over 10 years to deal with those major items. We call them now big ticket items, if you will, because we have a replacement reserve fund that takes care of the police cars and the backhoes and all that sort of stuff. But we simply don't have enough money in the reserve funds to pay for the big ticket items. So this 5-year plan that is incorporated under the guidance of the Board of Directors expressed back in November of this year, Bob Thompson, our general manager, has indeed incorporated that into this budget. The original list includes something known as the bridges. And the bridges were based on an engineering report. Quite frankly, what has happened is that those projects didn't go away. They got pushed down the road a little bit. But more importantly, what happened was several of us were able to talk to the county and get them in the county inventory. And thank you very much, Mr. New Commissioner. But we now have a funding scenario for the bridges that were originally on the list at $880,000. The county has agreed, by taking them in as part of their inventory, to pay 80%. So we now have an 80-20 funding mechanism, right, Jim?
I think so.
Yeah, for those bridges. So quite frankly, they didn't disappear. They moved down the road a couple of years based on a reappraisal of what was necessary and when to be done. And they're in there at $100,000 per bridge rather than the enormous sum of $880,000. That's the good news. The bad news is that we had some projects identified that were not on the original list when the 5-year funding plan was developed. And specifically the Swim and Racket Club project of $500,000, not only was it not on the list, it's now been completed at a cost of $485,000. So we've spent the money on that. So while we had an initial list that added up to be $2.8 million, 7 months later that list had become $4.2 million. And in June of 2010, the last time the 10-year plan task force convened, that list was at $7 million. So we do have some needs in this community, infrastructure related, and somebody's got to pay for it. And I wish it were somebody else other than the members, but I haven't been able to identify anybody other than the members that needs to pay for that. So I'm going to halt right there because I think, as we've discussed after our weeks and weeks of budget meetings, While there's an operational aspect to this about yacht club and golf course and so forth, there's also this very, very large component known as reserves, and specifically the capital needs of this community. The amount of your dues, your assessment that goes into this is about $330 per member. So it's a big ticket item. And we tried to point this out at the public session held, I think, on the 22nd of January. There frankly are many more people here tonight than attended that particular session. But I'll pause right there and turn the mic over to somebody else. But this is a huge thing for us, this community to keep moving forward. We have to address the needs, and they're physical in nature, and we have a mechanism in place. And as one of my fellow directors said last year, the plan is working, let's stick with the plan.
Dave?
Cut spending.
Dave? Well, Dave had his hand up.
No,
Dave, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick.
Go ahead, Rick.
Sure?
No, go ahead.
I'll yield to you. First of all, the board here is not somebody who is foreign to Ocean Pines. We're also all live in Ocean Pines, and all are members of the OPA. We all pay our dues. Quite frankly, I'm really tired of the personal attacks upon myself and the board. I'm the newest member of the board. I run a business here in Ocean Pines, and we don't need to get into personal issues and personal attacks. We're all volunteers up here, trying to do our jobs. There have been some comments. Number two, and I get this information from one of other board members. If we lived in the town of Berlin, or lived in town of Snow Hill, or Ocean City, we'd be paying city taxes. But those city taxes are higher than $853 per year.
2 to 3 times.
2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
2 to 3 times.
It depends on where you're at,
Yeah.
how much your house is worth.
Right.
A lot of other
But
things.
a lot of things.
Let's not oversimplify.
But I think
Well,
it's.
let him have the mic.
I think that is true, though. As far as the budget goes, I'm conflicted. This is people. On one hand, Bob Thompson has done a great job for everyone. He is innovative, hardworking, and thinks out of the box. Really is kind of energized Ocean Pines administrations.
Got one fan, Bob.
What does that tell you?
And in the checkbook.
The yacht club has attracted more people. The amenities are looking better. Ocean Pines is looking better. On the other hand, people pointed out here, we haven't seen a nickel from the casinos. I know we're going to, but we have not seen a nickel yet. What I expect, approximately $250,000 to $300,000 from the casino. We also had funding, we also had a savings, as Marty pointed out, a savings from the fire department. And that's helped our bottom line also. So, I'm very much up in the air which way to vote as far as how we decrease the assessments, but keep people going. Keep Ocean Pines going with it. Keep Ocean Pines going in a positive direction. I think for people who don't use the amenities, that's their choice. Not everybody plays golf, not everybody plays tennis, but when you bought your house here, you knew those amenities were here.
Your choice not to be able to afford it, so you're right. If you can't afford to do it, you can't do it.
Keep going, Rick.
If, what did I say? I'm sorry that people can't afford them. We're trying to make it more affordable. We have prices, and we're doing things that we can to help by cutting a major part of this budget out. We can't always afford it. Like I said, I'm conflicted. I'm not sure. I'm listening to people out there, what they're saying. We're trying to do what the constituency wants us to do. That's all.
Mr. President, point of order. We're not fourth graders. We don't need to sit here and be rebuked by a public servant for our behavior. Now, from my understanding, none of you guys were conscripted or drafted for this job. You worked hard to get it. One of you is Harry Truman, very famously said something.
Why don't we cut that off right here?
Let me make a point of order, sir. You are out of order.
Thank you
I'm
very
a
much.
parliamentarian, and I know that, in fact, this is a board meeting. We have had public comments. Now, sir, you will have an opportunity to come up afterwards and make your comments. After,
Not standing for being
and we will sit here and listen to them.
Thank you.
Okay. My turn. What was I going to say?
This is a business meeting, isn't it?
I have, there's no secret about this, and every member of the board knows, and anybody that's budget and finance has listened, that I have big problems with this budget, significant problems with it, and I have from the beginning. Now, I'm not going to go through this. This is a paper that I wrote on February 7th, and I already went through it with the board and made some specific recommendations, and some of them were adopted. You know, part measures certainly, but I think better than we had before. Okay. And I'm, you know, not against controversy. But one of the things I'd like to point out, and by the way, I'm also not going to say that if you adopted all of the measures that I had, that would mean a decrease in your assessments necessarily. Because I do think we have the long-term problems that Pete's alluding to. I do believe we need to put that money away, that $26 away, and $26 each year. And by the way, at the end of the 5th year, we'll still be collecting it, which is the only thing that makes me feel good about it, knowing that into the out years, you know, we may have to put things off, but sooner or later we'll have enough to do everything we have to do with these facilities. I know that. But that's $26. There are $4, which will add up to $20 if you have to kind of, this is hard math, but you know, it's $4 a year and $4 the next year. And if you go to the last year in the 5-year plan, you multiply it by 5 and you got $20. And guess what? We've paid that off. Now, if you pay that off, it doesn't need to be there, so everybody gets a $20 reduction in their assessments. Don't hold your breath. Because maybe.
That is the theory.
I won't be on the board then. I can't run again. You know. So I mean, there you go. I mean, I'll try. I would try. If I were there, I would try. Okay. There's another $15 that we're talking about, though, in the 45 component. And what's the $15 all about? Well, that's for a nominal 2% increase in the cost of operations. I think, I don't know, what does that come to this year? I did some really, don't count on me,
It's roughly $15.
I got about $127, you know, is $127,000 is what it comes to. All right, doesn't sound like much. Okay, but nonetheless, if we don't increase the cost of operations by that much, you do save that $15. Well, I don't care. 2%, you know, so what? But it's not just 2%, though. As Marty, I guess, has pointed out, there's another 177, or that's what I came up with, or maybe it's more, that we're sort of getting based on the fire department that we didn't have before. So it's 127 and 177. There's another $60 roughly that we had been paying because of unavoidable costs in the management area. We changed general managers. We had costs associated with that we don't have this year. So there's something like $364,000, I'm sorry, $364,000 that are out there to be what? Well, in this budget, to be spent. You know, the costs have gone up from last year, over $500,000, just the basic costs. Now, $238,000 of that, and I'm using my numbers, please, you know, they could be off by a little bit, but roughly they're right, are going into the yacht club. And the general idea that we're going to make the yacht club better, more attractive, build up revenues and so forth. We're projecting to cover those additional costs something like $675,000 in additional revenues. Now, somebody suggested here that, you know, you're playing the old trick of, you know, underestimating the revenues. Well, baloney. I mean, the revenues in the yacht club that are projected in this budget are higher than we've ever done in the history of Ocean Pines. You know, wonderful if we make them, but, you know, I don't feel very comfortable with it. You know, I believe that, you know, in our enthusiasm for what the general manager does, and whether I sound it or not, I am too. But in our enthusiasm for doing that, we're spending more money faster than we have to. I think we needed to reduce, I don't think we needed to do budget and finance level, cut the budget or the, the payroll cost by more than 50%. The projected increase in payroll costs, by the way, not the payroll cost. But on the other hand, you know, what I proposed, I thought was reasonable, 25%. And I believe the general manager could have easily met that. So what I'm saying is I do not believe, I believe we need the $26. I believe we need the $4. I believe we need some reasonable increases in the operational cost. And we think we need a little for new initiatives. But on the other hand, $364,000. Some portion of that could have been paid out of what we got from the fire department. So I think we shouldn't accept it. I think we should sharpen the pencils more. I think we can reduce it more. I think the general manager is perfectly capable of doing that. Now, need that, or will that necessarily come to a reduction in your assessment? Perhaps, but I'll tell you what, it won't be much. It won't be much. But on the other hand, if we do it, if we drop it $1, at least I think we'll show that we're really trying to do it and trying to do something with it. So, anyway, that's kind of where I stand.
Dave, may I comment on one thing you said? Just one comment. In the 2% that Dave is referring to, the $15, gentlemen, if you look at your summary sheets that were passed out, one of those things that we have to deal with, Bob Thompson has to deal with, and we as a board have to deal with, is the increased amount of depreciation once those physical assets come online. You'll notice just the changes that we suggest to be made to the budget, which have been made, it resulted in an increased depreciation on capital, $34,607 on your summary sheet. And what's that divided by 8? That's $4 right there. So each and every year, the pressure on the operating budget, notwithstanding, Dave, the $26 fund, when these assets come online and the depreciation has to be accounted for, that puts pressure on the operating budget as well. So I just want to point that out. The yacht club itself, not the yacht club, excuse me, the community center itself added depreciation of about $5 per member each year. Pretty good building though, too, by the way.
Well, it's not just a matter of listening to what people are saying within the community, because that's been very obvious for quite a few months now, especially with the economy the way it is. My objections to the way things stands are maybe minor, but they add up to about $167,000, and that's silly signs, and which I don't think we need. We have a service club that's done a great job over the year informing us what's going on. Remember, your exposure to that sign is 4 to 5 seconds, and nobody's going to stop and wait for the next message to come up. But it's 4 to 5 seconds, and we can do the same thing with what's already there. The van has been taken out of the picture, and we've had 3 good quality chefs in 10 years at the Yacht Club that didn't make one iota difference in the bottom line at the end of the year. I think someday that may be, but the job that Bob's doing, I don't know if anybody hasn't been to the Java Bay Cafe, shame on you. It's a great place to go in the morning. It's a good place to meet people. The lunches are terrific. The food is great. The quality is 100% better than it used to be. And we're trying to move that upstairs, and a gradual step at a time with the way Bob's doing, I think is the way to go. But I'm not real happy with the way things are as far as the budget is concerned. I think we could do better.
No, not particularly.
Just a couple of comments. Is this on? Yeah. First, I want to thank Bob and his team, because I know how much time Bob has put in to this budget. It's been a lot of late hours. I want to thank the Budget and Finance Committee for all the time and effort they put into it, especially the Budget Liaison. People don't realize how much time Pete has put into this. Whether I agree with him or not, these folks all deserve, in my personal opinion, because they're all volunteers, they've all been under a significant amount of, other than Bob's team, okay, but they put a hell of a lot of time in trying to come up with a good budget. That said, I believe there's a lot of good things in this budget. I truly do. However, I believe personally that due to the economy, I think we've taken too much on. Some of these items can be postponed, in my opinion, and I believe they should be in this economic environment. Yes, this will reduce the HOAs for the time being, but some of these things are going to have to come back on the plate at some other future time. But my point is, at this time, I'm not in a position to vote for the budget, because I think we can do, as Dave said, some more things.
I really don't have anything I can add to all that's been said, except that, yeah, we've put in one hellacious amount of time on this thing.
That's unanimous.
And all of these arguments that have been presented to you have been presented to the board 15 times. And so far, the change has been minimal, less than minimal. There's some people have their own agendas that they just won't let go of, and that's okay, that happens. I've heard a lot over the, 15 meetings or so that we've had over this thing. Most of them more than half a day, some of them all day. I think the budget is precisely what we said it would be when we started out. We kept a lot of things out. There's a lot of things that could have been added that were not added. It just doesn't show. It's great of all of you to show up today. That's fine. I love the interest you have in the community. We could have used some of this help at some of the other meetings. But it wasn't there then. It's here now. That's okay. Anyway, there are good things in this budget. I'm convinced that there are. I love the initiative that Bob's put into things. It'd be a real shame to cripple that right now, because we are on the upward path. I'm convinced of that. I don't know what else I can say about it. I am for the budget.
I'm sitting here looking at the Budget and Finance Committee's revised report and their influence on us and the things they suggested we should do. Some of them we did, some of them we didn't. Some of them we did partially. They clearly said that a 3% across-the-board raise for everyone should be removed. We did that. We clearly made it merit raises and bonuses as opposed to a fixed salary increase for folks. They said to lower the salaries by $447,000. We did a 12.5% decrease as opposed to Dave's 25%. So we didn't get near that number. They said to take the aquatics new product of cleaning pools out of the budget. We did. We removed it. We agreed to that. We said that the fire department, we should need to solidify that and make sure EMS contract is done. The initial legal reviews are underway to finish that by May. So they asked us to do that, so we're doing it. The police revenues were to be reallocated into a different account. We've done that. They did not state that we shouldn't do the $45 increase, but they didn't say that that has to raise any dues either. So in the bleachers, they wanted us to make sure that that the dues that was taken care of out of reserves that were for replacement. So we've done some of that. The $32,000 shuttle that they decided they didn't want, we agreed. We got rid of it. The business case wasn't good enough. Sports Core pool resurfacing, they suggested that we increase the budget to $75,000 from $25,000. We didn't do that. So we didn't raise it $50,000. The automated signs, which everybody loves, was suggested that it be moved back into the budget by the Budget and Finance Committee so that we could then get a business case to decide whether or not it is even possible to create a non-gaudy electronic sign. We don't have any idea what these signs might look like yet. Ray hates them already, doesn't even know what they look like yet. But that's okay. But the Budget and Finance Committee recommended that we put it back in the budget, so we did. We took as far as the casino, they recommended that the monies goes to resurfacing the roads, and we may hear a motion here later to do that. We talked about the casino money, whether it is real, folks. It's going to come. There's no question about that. How much it's going to be, we don't know yet. We clearly are limited as to what we can spend the money on. So we have to be careful to take care of that, and that's also on the agenda later on.
Right.
And then the drainage, they said that we were stopping, the proposal was to stop the funding of the Gulf drainage work because it was actually, they suggested that we delay that. They agreed with that, but then make the fund whole because right now it's actually a negative. So we did that. They recommended that we protect the revenues the best we can. There's been a lot of talking about we can't protect the revenues. Well, the realities are that's the truth. We can put in place all the processes, procedures, put the money in a separate banking account, different line item. We can watch the money. We can put it there and say what we want it to be used for. But we can't encumber future boards any more than they could encumber us. But all safeguards that are possible to put in place within the realm of law, we're doing to try to make sure that the money is safeguarded and set aside in the right way. And then again, this was a repeat of the Gulf drainage. And they decided that they were in favor of continuing the $45. So we have that in the budget. And then the Gulf road resurfacing was an issue that they saw as a big issue, and so do I. That it was mentioned earlier that we used to get close to $400,000 plus from the state gas tax money to help pay for roads. We're getting, and this isn't Jim's fault, he's passing through what they're giving him, so don't shoot him.
He's the commissioner, we can blame him.
We can blame him anyway. Okay, Jim, it's your fault. The realities are, and I wanted to go through this, folks, because I wanted you to understand that we didn't do everything that the Budget and Finance Committee suggested we do, but I guarantee you when I was on the Budget and Finance Committee, we didn't score anywhere near this well. That board didn't listen to my Budget and Finance Committee I was on anywhere near as much as we did. So I just wanted to share that with folks that, we didn't do everything, but we did pay attention to what folks have said. We have had 15, except for one meeting on personnel, we've had 15 public meetings open to announced. I went to the website this afternoon and made sure they had all been on the calendar and announced, and they were. So we had 15 open meetings where people could come and share their concerns, and this is one of them. I'm glad you came. There's been an enormous amount of work done on this. In my mind, it comes down to a couple things. You either believe in setting the money aside into reserves to pay for things later when they come due, so that you don't have to borrow the money or hit somebody with a big assessment at the time, or you don't believe in that, and therefore you shouldn't gather the money, you shouldn't put it aside, and you shouldn't get ready for the future. Obviously, I'm on the side that says we ought to put the money aside and be ready for the future to repair the things that need to be done. If we want to move forward in this community and open it up, and Bob and his team are trying to do that, one of the things that people don't talk about, and Bob mentioned it in his public presentation of his budget on January 22nd, there are over 7,000 hours of staff time now available for open amenities and staffing of amenities that we didn't have before. So part of this increase that we're being asked to approve here is to pay for injury staffing to cover a community center that's open, pools that are open, including the non-covered ones to be open later in the day, bars that are open later, so that the facilities are open and running. You can't do that with adding people. I did not realize that it was amazing to me that this budget is still, dues-wise, is still within the same range as what was in the plans over the last two board positions and plans that they put in place before we got here. It's still within that range, and that we've added 7,000 hours worth of amenity open time and staffing. So obviously, I'm in favor of this budget because frankly, I think we're carrying on with the budget and dues plan that has been in place for 2 years. I see no reason to change that when you see the positive direction of Ocean Pines. That does not mean that we don't need to take into account the casino revenue as we go forward. When it comes to the signs, Ray, if they're ugly, I don't want them either. But understand, the budgetary items that are over $15,000 have to come back to this board for us to approve the expenditure. Right. This is a budget. This is not a right to go open up whatever he wants. It's our job to oversee those things going forward. So that's my final comment. Obviously, I'm in favor of it for those reasons I've just given. Are there things wrong in this? For heaven's sakes, you know, there's line item by line item that I could go through and say yes or no, it should be bigger or lower. That's how I feel. But that's my 2 cents. Is anybody else want to add anything else?
Just one thing, if I may. I don't want to disappoint anybody.
That's not funny.
I think it is. Here we are. I encourage my fellow directors, and this is directed not to the public, my fellow directors to embrace this budget and to approve it. I think a vote of confidence in our general manager. I think we've all said in one way or another that he's doing a good job. We want to support him. The capital, if we were not with the $30 segment of the $45 increase, I suspect the group wouldn't be here today. If we were talking about Bob Thompson's budget, general manager, having a $15 increase in assessment, not 45, I doubt very much that these people will be in this room tonight. The fact of the matter is, because of the $30 component, it makes it $45, and that's a big thing. I'll conclude by simply saying Pete would do it differently. I would have things both in and out of this budget. Every director here has said that they would have a personal preference if they were crafting the budget to include or exclude different matters. We don't get to do our own budget, guys. And so while I may object to some of this budget, and every one of us around this table objects to some of this budget, I encourage you to sit back and say, you know what? I've concluded that BCOMSAC supports this budget, and I intend to vote in favor of it, even though it's not everything I would want. And I know, gentlemen, it's not everything you would want, but please, I encourage you to vote for it.
No. My mission in life is to never let Pete have the last word. You know, I hope the board members, and I know they will, they'll make up their own minds. And just as I'm going to make up my own mind, and I'm not going to encourage anybody to do anything that they think they shouldn't do. As simple as that. I do object, though, to couching a negative vote for this budget in terms of not supporting the general manager. I do support the general manager.
Yeah.
I object to couching it in terms of not supporting, the future renovation or replacement of our major facilities. I do support that, and I know we have to do it, and I'm concerned that we have the money to do it. But on the other hand, there's also such a thing as operational efficiency. I mean, there are ways to look at the budget and save the money. And that has been done over recent years to good effect. And I'm asking that it be done a little bit more. And I have every confidence that our general manager can do it.
Call the question. All those in favor of the motion to approve the budget?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion failed.
Okay. See you later, Mike. See you later.
We will go back to work.
Tom,
Not all of us.
would you be willing to accept a partial, a motion supporting the yacht club portion that I think the majority of us are in agreement on? We've given Bob the tasking of making the club work. So I would recommend that, based upon what I've heard in our discussions among our meetings, that we are mostly in favor of doing what Bob wants to do to the club portion. So I move that that section of the budget be approved.
I don't even know what you're talking about, John.
The section on the yacht club.
The operations section?
The operations section of the yacht club.
I think that's very unwise to approve a single tab in a budget book on a $12 million budget.
Okay,
No, I think not.
okay.
I mean,
Is there a second?
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Okay. Failing a second, motion failed. Okay, casino revenue. We do have a motion.
We do.
On Pete that we put together. Did you put that forward?
Yeah, I have distributed to the directors via email, and some of you couldn't get it. I distributed it today. Does everyone have it? Okay. I think self-explanatory. Let me put it on the table, and then we can have it under discussion. Proposed motion, and I'll read it for those who don't have it in front of them. Whereas the association will, under Maryland law, be a recipient of a portion of the slot revenue, friends, in quote, slot revenues from the Ocean Downs Casino, and whereas the use of such funds will be subject to certain restrictions and the association's plans for expenditures must be approved by the local development council established by the legislation, I move that the board of directors designate and restrict all such funds received for the association's road resurfacing program, and that these funds be accumulated in a separately designated bank account and reserve account until the expenditure plan is completed and approved by the board of directors and subsequently by the local development council. Further, the designated use of these slots revenues may be revised from time to time by action of the board of directors, provided that such uses are consistent with the restrictions and the approvals required by law.
Do I have a second?
I'll second for purpose of discussion.
Okay. Discussion. Pete, can I?
Sure.
No, I copied it. I can't find my motion. I have too many papers.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The copy.
Oh, you want it? Here,
Yeah.
sure. Here's a copy.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Good. Because I did have some comments. And I'll just discuss what I'm thinking. Sure. And then perhaps make a motion to amend. All this is good. I move the board of directors restrict all such funds reserved for the association. Yeah. First thing, my first comment is relative to the road resurfacing, placing the money in the road resurfacing program.
Microphone so everybody can share his commentary.
I'm sorry. Okay? Got it. All right, my first comment is relative to putting the money into the road association program. I've talked to several people, who are relatively knowledgeable on this, and I believe it'd be unwise to put it into a specific thing. I don't think we know enough right now to do that. I'm suggesting as an amendment that we do put it into a specific reserve account, which we might call infrastructure, and rather than one that we already have, however little money's coming into it. Then when we find out what we can do with it and what we want to do with it, we should, proceed. That's the first comment. The second comment is, oh yeah, I would ask that you remove the word approved. Oops, and yeah.
Which word?
Well, let's see, it's actually more complicated than that since it's two clauses that apply to the same word. But basically, it is not clear to me in reading the law that the local development council actually approves it. I mean, we do have to submit a plan to them. They do have to review the plan. But the word approved, at least in the copies that I've read, and doesn't appear. But all I'm saying is that I'd rather not put that word into anybody's mouth unless I know that it's specifically required, and it's not necessary to this motion. You got something for me?
Yeah, there's the law. Best efforts to accommodate their recommendation.
Yeah, there's no approved, is what you're saying. Agreeing with, yeah, I read it and went into it.
Why don't you read that, Dave?
Well, sure.
What section is it, Dave?
It says the county shall make its best effort.
Yeah, a county or municipality shall make best efforts to accommodate the recommendations of the local development council and any testimony presented at the hearing adopting the plan required under this subsection. The bill that I had, the copy of 3, did you see that?
Okay,
but at any rate,
just in order to cut through this a little bit, I think we
if you remove the name, if you remove the word approved, and we put it in a generic infrastructure fund, I'm happy with it, yeah. We have to do that.
You have any problem with adjusting the motion to read that, Peter?
No. My understanding is what Dave is suggesting is by putting in a separately designated infrastructure account. I happen to agree with that. Okay. Just as we've done with the right. $26 segment of the, right? So I think that's a good thing. What I don't want it to mean is that we can dip into it willy-nilly for this or that.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
No, we're going to find out what we have to do, and we're going to do it.
Right.
The idea here,
the answer is I don't object.
Okay.
Let me just settle. The idea here is there's been discussion out there about the revenues that are coming in. We didn't want this to set for even a week without us having made a motion by the board, setting the policy, opening the bank accounts, and putting the money aside whenever it finally arrives. We don't want it mixed in with anything else we've already got.
We're restricting it.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm doing is saying into a separate,
whatever words you want to use,
infrastructure account, and
public infrastructure account.
Public infrastructure account. Let's get the words exactly right.
Thank you, Joe.
And until an expenditure plan is completed, we can get the approved by the board of directors and so forth. But, yeah,
okay, that's fine.
It has to be so.
That's fine.
All right.
I'm trying to cover all the bases.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Good. What's next?
Next, quick update on the IRS, Pete. Or Bob?
Yeah.
Bob?
Pete can do it.
Pete?
Yeah, there were questions earlier. Do I need the mic? Most people left have the budgets included. Want me to use the mic? I'll use the mic. If not, I'll just talk.
Just talk.
Okay. Question earlier was about the IRS case, and I guess it's more of a response to that particular individual than it is for the board. The board's well aware of where we stand, and so I don't know, other than to suggest that the individual who raised the question probably, it seemed to me, I know who it was, okay, Janet Kelly, but she didn't seem to be aware that what the circumstances were I would just make a couple of comments. We have, of course, appealed, and we're going to have to meet probably in closed session here in the near term to talk about where we are and where we go. But that's appropriate for closed sessions. You know, it's litigation in the Fourth Circuit. But to the several questions that were asked by Janet Kelly and others who may wish to know, a couple of things I'd just like to point out. Number one, the original, there are no penalties anymore. She referred to interest and penalties. The penalties are gone, and I think the board knows that. I know the board knows that. Not sure all the public knows that. The original assessment was for $200,000 for the 2 years examined. Due to the position of the prior boards in appealing this, that $200,000 has been reduced to $80,000. So we have won on 3 separate and distinct points with the IRS by virtue of having appealed it. So the board that made that prior decision, I think, deserves some credit for having done it. We're down to $80,000 for the 2 years. Now, of course, it's still $1 million when you roll it forward for 9 years in total. So that's where we are. Penalties, however, are off the table. There is, of course, interest, and Maryland's interest, interestingly enough, is substantially higher than the federal interest rate that the IRS imposes. And so that's where we are. We actually, today occurred a conference call between our attorneys in Baltimore and the PwC tax partner out of Philadelphia to talk about it. And we'll have to have a private session, closed session here sometime very shortly to update the board and advise you of developments. But the briefs have not been filed. The board will have to sign off on the briefs. They're not ready to be signed off on yet. They're not ready to be reviewed. The conference call today is going to result in some additional changes to the initial draft of the brief crafted by the attorneys. So that's all in process. And there was a 2-week extension. There was an extension in the date. The original date for filing the briefs was later this month, and that has been moved back. So there's more time to properly assess and develop and craft the briefs and to involve PwC with the attorneys. And so we'll be meeting here in closed session in the near term. But I just want to make sure, no more penalties. The amounts are substantially reduced from the original assessments that were made by the IRS based on the 2 years audited. The 200 is down now to 80,000.
Okay, thanks, Pete. We have appointments to the Comprehensive Planning Committee, 2 of which, Dave, you're talking about, and 1, John, you're talking about. Dave, we got Lee Brook and Stephen Robert Cullen.
Yes.
So you endorse both these gentlemen?
Well, to be in the interest of perfect honesty, I only know one of them.
Okay.
I mean, and he's a very fine fellow, and he's attended the last meeting. We'd be happy to have him. My general attitude for, committee volunteers is if they volunteer, I want them. It's as simple as that. So I do endorse them, yes. Sight unseen.
Any other comment? I have a motion to accept Stephen Robert Cullen and Lee Brooks into the Comprehensive Planning Committee.
Second. With no objection.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? John?
One of the things we have to do is nominate a chair for every committee, and the Comprehensive Planning Committee needs a new chair. I've talked to Carol Terry. Carol is willing to take on the chair position, so I'm nominating her to be the chair of the Comprehensive Planning Committee.
She wouldn't do it for me, you silver-tongued devil.
Yeah, well, I'm a silver-tongued devil.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm joking.
And I might mention, the Comprehensive Planning Committee is meeting tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and it's a public meeting, so that anybody who has some ideas, feel free to attend. Yeah, that will be in the admin building.
At the risk of fear, public comment. Yes, John.
This is really an important public comment.
Not the budget.
I'm sorry I didn't say this before everybody left, but tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., I want to see a lot of these faces over at Java Bay Cafe. Every Thursday morning at 9, come on over. We can argue about the budget. We can talk about the weather. but come, 9 a.m. tomorrow.
I'll print it off again. Okay.
Thank you, there we go.
Bruce?
No, I passed it down.
Oh,
no, not that.
Oh, the other motion?
Briefly, I'd like to applaud the board for voting the budget down at this time. I think some words were used like the board was seeing passion, they were seeing interest and all that. What they were seeing was disagreement with the budget, with all the people here. I think that, in the next phase, the big ticket items should be addressed. Tom, you were talking about how you followed a lot of the recommendations by the Finance Committee. Some of those items, those line items, are very minor in dollars, like bleachers and things like that. I believe time well spent on big ticket ones, like personnel areas, would be, that would serve your time better. And I know you've spent a lot of time, but this is the most, like I said, this is, I believe, one of the most important things that the committee does.
Thanks, Bruce. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I would like to say something. I want to thank the board for it was the right thing now. That's just 1 out of 8,442 votes. But I believe you did the right thing. And I'm the last person to give advice on budgets because you're going to go back and look at this budget. We didn't do a budget. A budget, you don't start with 853 and backfill. And anybody that tells me that this budget arrived at 853 in a budget, zero-based budget process doesn't understand what a budget is. Start with a budget. What's it going to cost? What do we save? What are we going to spend? Become assessment. Don't start with an assessment. When I was on the board, we did not agree to a $45 assessment increase every year. As a matter of fact, that 5-year plan has never been voted on, ever. It was approved in a budget. I will proudly tell you I voted against it both times. But then it was 6-1. You guys, 4 to 3 is a
He has
kid.
more influence as a non-board member.
Okay. Art?
It's sad.
Thank you, Walker.
Couldn't get it done to the board.
I would like to thank the board for what they did tonight. I think it was a difficult and very hard thing for the board to do. You put a tremendous amount of work into this, and the fact that you did this just shows how dedicated you are to the community and the people in it. One thing was said tonight that I felt uncomfortable with, and I think I need to address. It was a conversation about Bob Thompson. I think Bob Thompson is a dedicated, competent, very, very interested and involved and intelligent person. I'm not saying this just because I want to curry favor with him. I don't curry favor with anybody, if you all know me. Well, I do want to say this because we cannot attach too much importance to a resume. I've hired and fired hundreds, if not thousands, of people in my life career. And I find that resumes were the least telling of a person's ability to do the job. But the qualities that Mr. Thompson brings to the job are those that make people succeed. I want to thank him for that, and I want to thank the board. I also want to thank our commissioner. First time since I've been here, we have a commissioner who works with the board of directors in Ocean Pines and really tries to help us. And I think we're just in a blessed situation now at a very difficult time. I want to thank you all for the whole meeting.
He wanted to see the outcome.
And buys us all drinks
I'm a property
afterwards.
owner.
And buys us all drinks afterwards, too. Ray? Okay, meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Didn't know we had. All right.
Mr. President, I think what you all did this evening took a lot of guts, because I know how hard you've worked on the budget that you've been working your way through. I would like to strongly recommend to you that you examine some of your assumptions with this budget, and particularly with some of the comments that you made this evening while you were discussing your rationale behind the budget. And that assumption, the biggest one is that we have to have money in the bank in order to do a capital project. In other words, we need to pay for it, we need to be able to pay for it before we can start it. That implies to all of us that we're going to pay for projects that will be used for the next 20 or 30 years, but it won't be by us unless you have an agreement with somebody who's way up there to keep you around for quite a while. Very few of us do. So think about, as you look at this budget again, and the big ticket capital items, take a hard look at how do we pay for them versus what they cost. You might find that there is, in fact, a way, or several ways, to finance these things, let them be paid for as they're being used by the people who use them, rather than by the people today who will not have the opportunity to use them. It's a philosophy that needs to be applied. It may not fit. You all have a very difficult job. I'm very familiar with that. I have had the pleasure of sitting there, and I still hear my name used politely in company. I really, really, really encourage all of you to take a look at your capital budgets, particularly, and think about how do we pay for some of these projects. Cleaning out pipes and replacing small bits of infrastructure you need to do with cash, of course. But if the solution is to replace a building, or maybe even in an economy that's as low as it is today, to replace them all, then maybe you ought to go out and finance it. Spread it over 30 years. And ask yourself an interesting question. Ask Mr. Carmine an interesting question. That is, in a nonprofit corporation, do we really have to depreciate capital structures? Thank you very much.
I just have one question. And maybe it's not budget related, but it's something that everybody looks at every month. It's the gas bill. Eastern Shore Gas has a control on this community that's unbelievable. Look at Eastern Shore Gas, they're charging $3.07 a gallon for propane. You can buy it wholesale for $1.50. I mean, everybody, we have 8,000 people in here. We can't get a better price from Eastern Shore Gas? I just don't understand that. That's the only question. I just wondered, has anybody looked into it, or?
There's a whole army of people looking into that left.
I know, but why can't, I mean, we went to them with the pool, right? And they gave us a better rate, didn't they?
They did.
Right?
They did.
So why don't we go to them with 8,000 signatures in here?
Let's give Les a chance to respond.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to cut him.
It's okay.
Believe me, I wasn't.
It's okay. I don't want to take a lot of credit for what work has been done, but some of you, or all of you, may know Bud Shea. He started a couple years ago a group of citizens, neighbors and things, and had a meeting on this subject, switching to natural gas, really. I attended that meeting and other meetings there with him, and since then, we've gotten to a point where we're working together. He's away at the moment. When we get finished with the budget thing, and he's back, he's going to address the board on that subject.
Okay.
And I know Bob is working towards it with me, and the simple answer to your question is Eastern Shore Gas has absolutely no incentive to give us a damn thing.
Right.
And they won't.
I know, but if they only, all they own is those pipelines. They don't own my house, they don't own your house, they own nobody's house,
right.
Correct?
That's
I mean,
correct.
if we could choke them out real easy by putting tanks in temporarily, I'm just saying a temporary situation.
We could do that.
And wait a minute, and fill up our own tanks, and we can get a deal, any place you want, you can get a deal at wholesale, with 8,000 people buying. I mean, see, I'm not trying to start a war, but it's getting outrageous.
Might be a war worth fighting, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but you understand what I'm saying? I mean, the county is involved in this situation.
We
too.
understand.
We're working on it.
We're working
Okay,
on it.
I just
We're working
asked
on
you
it. No,
because I
it's a
just
good
asked
issue. Les is representing the board,
I do
along with Bob,
appreciate it.
working
Thank
on
you
that,
very
we're good. Anybody else? Media. Ready?
When are you going to meet again?
Good question.
Given the vote on the budget, there were, I think easily 3 or 4 different reasons among the 4 board members who voted against as to why they voted the way they did. So the question is, where do you go from here?
I put this
What
board.
kind of direction do you give Bob, for instance?
Great question. That's a very good question.
It's a really good question.
It's a very good question.
Just said no.
And when time allows, I will get these 7 of us back into a room and let the 4 of them explain to me what it is we do now and what their ideas are. I want to hear what it is they want to cut, specifically, what it is they're looking at. And I'm willing, that's where we are.
Put a proposal together.
Yeah, that's where we are, Tom. There's no other step at that. I mean, it sounds like it's simple,
Just say
but that's really where we are.
Special meeting next week, maybe, or even
I've
this
got to,
week?
I won't be there.
And pick a day. And some people are going out of town. So we'll have to figure that out.
Get it done.
You get meetings by phone. I mean,
Yep.
it's not out of town and not
So we'll
out
have to
of,
work out a time to work it out. I mean, right now, I don't have an answer. to
it
that.
happens.
I have to work it out.
If one's not here. Yeah, sure. We've done it before.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes. Motion adjourned.